Okay, all my panelists ready?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, well, good afternoon to everybody on this webinar. A warm welcome to you to our third RHEA Talk series of webinars. Firstly, let me introduce myself. My name is John Bone. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer for RHEA Group, and I'll be your facilitator for today's session. Firstly, could you see the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen here? I think it's about there. Please use that for any questions that you may have for the panel. If you are asking questions and it's to a specific panel member, could you make this clear in your question? Thank you very much. Talking of the panel, today I am joined by three distinguished panel members who are here to discuss how to maintain a positive mindset and develop your career during these very strange times in which we find ourselves. So let me introduce the panel. First, I have, actually, I'll introduce Alessandro first because he is appearing right in the middle of my screen. So Alessandro is our most prestigious panel member because he is a new joiner to RHEA. He joined in April 2020. As a service manager for the messaging and collaboration services contract that we have at the European Space Agency facility, ESTEC, which is located in Noordwijk in the Netherlands. So Alessandro therefore has first-hand experience of our recruitment process and also not only changing role, but also country during the lockdown period. So welcome, Alessandro. Next, I have Vanessa Lewis. Vanessa is RHEA's head of recruitment, and together with a very capable team, they manage over 300 vacancies a year across Europe and Canada. And last but by no means least, we have Cingerli. Germain is one of our senior recruitment consultants, and Germain is a behavioural psychologist and has been working as a technical recruiter for almost 6 years. Prior to that, he spent 7 years as a career coach. So welcome, panel. For those of you not familiar with RHEA, RHEA is a security and space engineering services company with over 600 employees across Europe and Canada. So RHEA's focus is to add value to our customers through the delivery of specific technologies, techniques, and expertise. So today we're focusing on expertise. I think we all agree that we're finding ourselves in very unprecedented times. Prior to the pandemic, the space market was following a course of high growth and high demand for talent and expertise to support that growth. I think everybody's expectation was for this growth to be significantly impacted. So my first question is to Vanessa. Has that been the case? And what is your experience of how the pandemic has affected the demand for talent from our customers? So Vanessa.
Thanks, John. Hi, everyone, and welcome to our session today. So yeah, to answer your question, in my opinion, and it's also proven, the demand, especially from our side, has not been affected. In fact, it has increased, and later I will tell you why as well. So you are aware that RHEA is, some of you are aware that RHEA is in the space and cybersecurity domain, and this actually means that pandemic or not, especially in the last years, satellites need to continue flying, activities on space missions needs to go on, and we've seen as well that there were many cyber threats going on. So infrastructures and systems continuously need to be protected. So actually meant that in the last year, we actually had an increase in vacancies. We had over 350 positions that were waiting to be filled. I myself had to reinforce the team with new recruiters. So that's basically for me a testament that this market that we are in, which is the space and cybersecurity market, it's stable, it's reliable, resilient, and has a huge potential to grow. So I know that many of you here in the last years were unsure about making a career move, changing countries, starting in a new company, a new change. And I guess that is why most of you are here today, because you want to understand how we have continued to hire people, how we can support you in that as well moving forward. So it was not an easy task from a recruitment perspective, because many people were obviously worried. There was always concerns, health concerns, also concerns about job security. It was a time when companies were downsizing and people were starting to be laid off as well across many sectors. So we had a big challenge ahead of us to convince people that it was the right time to move, because the demand was obviously there. Our clients were hiring, our clients needed people, we needed to hire people. So what did we do? We did a lot of things. Mainly, we worked a lot with our clients. We had the support of our clients as well, and of the management in RHEA. We were able to assure our candidates on the stability and the flexibility that we are able to offer and to work with. And internally, across the company, we worked, we reinforced our teams. We worked with many ideas and many strategies to give people the assurances that we would be able to support them in their journey for a new job, a new career, always taking into consideration the sensitivity of the crisis that we've been going through. So this worked. I'm happy because it showed that from the number of people that we've been able to hire in the meantime, we filled in hundreds of vacancies across 11 different countries here in Europe as well in Canada. And we work with our customers, mainly the European Space Agency, ESA, then the GSA. Today they are known as the EU Agency for Space Programs, other agencies like EUMETSAT, NATO, and other key industry players. We've hired many kinds of profiles, ground segment engineers, software engineers, spacecraft operation engineers, project managers, a lot of cybersecurity profiles, either in operations as well as in R&D risk activities as well. We even had, like Alessandro, so we've also had people who've moved from one country to another country because we do provide that support to people to move. So yeah, so I would like to end by highlighting that at RHEA we want to continue to be the employer of choice, and I would say that one of our strongest point is that the diversity of the clients that we are able to offer to our employees, the locations that we operate in today, we have flexibility, we offer mobility internally as well from one role to another role. Once you become a part of RHEA, you would always have the possibilities to be exposed to the many opportunities that we have on the diverse portfolios of clients that we are able to offer, both in, again, space and cybersecurity market. So John, I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. Thank you. Thank you very much, Vanessa. So, Jaman, Vanessa states that the growth is still there. And the market we still demand this expertise and talent. What do you think are the main factors stopping people from applying for roles at the moment?
Well, obviously the pandemic did not facilitate or reassure people in looking for, taking the risk of doing a change in their careers. Actually, there are many factors. We can list a lot of factors, but these factors can be linked to the pandemic or just enhanced, like emphasized by the pandemic. These unusual times basically pushed people to retreat in their comfort zone and to kind of delay the the willingness to take a risk to do a change in their careers, because first it was important to find comfort, just be sure that the family was okay, that our beloved ones were okay, that we could be healthy as well, and these kind of things. So indeed, as Vanessa said, and we experienced that in our recruitment, the technical needs of our clients, they kept coming and coming, and these positions keep opening and opening. But yeah, of course, finding people to who are ready to take this risk, it has been a bit more complicated to reassure them. So that's why I wanted to share with you today my 6 tools. These are the 6 ways to really overcome your apprehensions and to realize, even in these times, to realize a successful next step in your career. So we have to start at the very beginning of the process of willing to investigate a new experience, a work experience, a new step in its career. You are yourself in front of a job board. There is some kind of unsatisfaction. First tool is to understand this unsatisfaction. So it can be very obvious or it can be more vague, but there is something and you need to clarify that. So the first idea is to go from this vague feeling of, I don't know, there's something or there's something missing, to this is the list of things I don't have today, or this is the things I have today that I don't want to have anymore. And to concretize that, to have this list clear in mind. That's the first advice I can give to you, is to dig into this feeling, to have it more concrete. That's a tool, first tool, because it's useful later. So the second tool is the balance between the effort and the reward. So John, you know that we use the term very, very frequently. In business, we used to call that the return on investment. So what we have to put as effort and what we can receive in exchange, in return. It is true that in life, any change comes with a stress, a certain amount of stress. The idea is for you to realize that the stress of making a change in your career is actually lower than the stress and the discomfort in staying where you are now. And so, for example, a very simple tool or way to think about that, you have to imagine a dashboard. Imagine a dashboard with a lot of parameters, okay? You have a lot of parameters that can be your satisfaction at work, the level of responsibilities you have and you're happy to have or not, the salary conditions, of course, the commuting that you are doing on a daily basis to go to work or not. Sometimes for some of us, the commuting stopped, but it will come back. And it still can be long, like 1 hour driving or to be stuck in traffic jams or things like that. The work-life balance, the time we have left after work for other things we want to do, etc. So all these parameters. And then you have to think about the change. And as I said, the stress that comes with that change. If that change in your career improves most of the parameters or all of them, then the change is good, even if it comes with a bit of stress. The change is good because it will impact positively most of the parameters that actually contribute to your well-being at work or in your position, in your job. So that's another tool that it's important to keep in mind, this balance between the effort and the reward, the stress that's worth being endured to have actually a significant improvement in our career and in our well-being at work afterwards. Third tool, third way is to think about your recruiter or the recruiter you'll be in contact with as your ally. The recruiter is actually here to help you. So if you are hesitant, if you are not sure, if you want to have some help into identifying and to go through this thinking about what really is bothering me for the moment, what is the kind of opportunities that can bring me what I'm missing for the moment, you can speak with your recruiter. The recruiter knows the market. He knows what are your chances to be selected for the position you want to apply for or not. What are the salary conditions improvement you can do if you apply for this? And then you can evaluate your chances to apply for it. The recruiter is also going to make you save a lot of time, precious time, because a recruiter knows the market. He knows how many candidates he received. He knows how hard the chances to be selected for this position or not. He can give you already a first feedback on that. And if the recruiter tells you, listen, you have really good chances to have this job, you can believe him. I mean, you can really trust him because, I mean, Vanessa, you can confirm, you know, John, a recruiter, we don't have a lot of time. We have kind of busy days. So I'm not going to take 1 hour of my time to speak with someone if I don't believe in that application can result in something positive for my client, but also for my candidate, because in the end, my candidate is my network and I want to keep him. I want to keep him satisfied, also on the longer term. The other thing is, honestly, you can be transparent and honest with your recruiter since the beginning. For example, for salary conditions, you can tell him, listen, Mr. Recruiter, these are my salary conditions. This is my bottom line. If you can find me an interesting job opportunity above that, I'm very interested. He's not going to force you to take something that you don't want or something in the conditions that are not acceptable for you. He has your interests in mind. So that's when I'm saying that the recruiter is your ally, is because the recruiter, if he wants to make this application work for you and for its client, is going to do his best to combine these two expectations on the client side and on the candidate side. So that was the third tool. The fourth tool is understanding the fear of change. So I'm not going to go too deep into psychological theories, okay? But I need to at least give you a bit of insight. The fear of change, I mean, it's actually normal, okay? It goes, everybody has it at different degrees, but it's something that we all have in common. Basically, it's related to the fear of the unknown. We don't know what we don't, I mean, we kind of fear what we don't know. It's actually, if you want, the idea is, I mean, for first tool or first trick is the more information we can obtain on something, on a job position, on conditions, on the support a company can give you to make this change successful, is the more information you have, the less unknown is the change. So the less scary it becomes. That is a first trick that can help already. The second trick, and honestly the most important one, I think, is to understand that the difference between anxiety and a fear is that anxiety had no object. It has no object. It's not concrete. It's just like, it's a fear of something vague. But a fear of something vague, because it doesn't have an object, it's not like a problem you cannot find a solution. It's just a feeling that blocks you, if you want. So one of the first exercise we have to do to overcome the fear of change and the fear of the unknown is to give to the fear of the unknown a concrete object, a concrete aspect, if you want. So the idea is not to stay in the, yeah, but I have the feeling that something could go wrong, and we are going concretely into, yeah, but what thing? And wrong how? And what could be the worst that could happen? And when you do that kind of exercise of concretizing these ideas, you see that there are just problems, and these problems, they have solutions. So actually that's the idea, if you want, is to trust yourself in the resources you have in actually facing a problem that has a solution. When you will have the problem in front of you, first, you will have the resources to find the solution on that. And second of all, you won't be alone. You have the company supporting you. also bringing solutions to make this work. So the fear of the unknown is not something like terrible, but we don't exactly know what. Actually, it's simple problems that we can find solutions and helping you implementing them. So yeah, just to conclude on that, it's not a promise that everything will always be well. I mean, let's be realistic, but it's the confidence in our resourcefulness to find solutions in front of concrete problems. And that always works. So that was the fourth tool. The fifth one is the relocation as a mountain. So John, I don't know if you know, how do we climb a mountain before being too scared, you know? It's actually one step at a time. If you look at the top of the mountain since the beginning, of course it will seem huge. I mean, thinking about relocating now, it seems like a huge amount of things to think about, but actually just you have to cut this big thing actually into small steps, and one step at the time. It's actually something that it's really realizable. You can do it. So very quickly, I'm going to list just a few points about the relocation. First, you have to know that in the space and the cybersecurity sector, some of the most important clients we have they have specific locations. For example, if you want to be a test engineer and to work for ESA, sooner or later, you'll have to make the idea to go to work in ESTEC in the Netherlands, because that's where the test facilities for ESA are. You know, you can always find other test facilities in Germany, in France, in Italy, of course. And actually in RHEA Group, we have enough clients to find other test facilities, but some positions are linked to some locations. And the sooner you have your mindset ready to that, like NATO, you want to work for NATO, at some point you have to accept the fact that if you want to be at NATO HQ, it will be Brussels, Belgium, or Mons Shape, or these kind of things. But accepting the fact that some important clients have locations in some already identified countries. But most importantly, first, as I said, relocation comes with stress. And I told you, that's the moment we have to remind that stress, when we have to think about a change, it's normal, but it's change. This stress with coming with a change is worth, you know, facing and overcoming it, because the reward is bigger. What about COVID? So COVID and relocation, of course, make people more hesitant. So yeah, but what about taking a flight? What about crossing an airport, crowded airport during COVID? These kind of things. Well, I'm not a specialist in virology, you know, but I've been very careful as well on the safety measures on COVID, and it's possible to cross a crowded airport and to take a flight and be less exposed to the virus than going to the supermarket, which is something that we have to do on a weekly basis. I mean, that's the maximum I can do, because I'm a kind of let's say very cautious on that. But just to say that taking one flight, crossing 2 airports, to relocate into a new country, and then visiting an apartment, it's not exposing you to specific risks. Actually, touching groceries in the grocery store, it's actually more kind of exposing you to the virus than relocating into a new country with gloves, masks, the hand sanitizers, and doing it according to the safety, you know, the safety sanitary measures for COVID. So in the end, COVID was more kind of maybe kind of an excuse to make people not to think about relocation. But when you really think about it, moving doesn't expose you more than going to the supermarket, actually. A third point is, what about my partner, girlfriend, wife, husband? If I relocate, is my partner being capable to find a job in a new country? Actually, again, that's something you can discuss with your recruiter, but there are a lot of possible options. For example, your partner can take that time to follow trainings, take a sabbatical, do other personal projects. We are going to also help your partner to find another job, because we have a network in the countries we recruit for. We have employees based in the countries we recruit for. We can share the profile of your partner within our network. There's a lot of things that this opportunity can bring. Like it really can be an opportunity for change, or to have a better or a different life balance. For example, just to give a quick example, at some point with one of my candidates, we did the calculation. It was more interesting for the wife of my candidate to stay at home and take care of the kids than to find a job, and with that job pay the kindergarten, you know, the solution of gardening to take care of the children. So in the end, it was they just rearranged their family kind of priorities, but it's a project they decided to do together, and it worked. So it really can be also put on the table. We can discuss about that. Same with the kids, actually. Huh? Same with the kids. We always think like, oh, but my kid is too young, or my kid is too old, or what is going to be the impact of a relocation on my kids? Actually, kids, they go through that. I don't know if you knew it, John, but I relocated. I was in Latin America and arrived in Belgium when I was 3 years old. So I still speak Spanish, but no, my mother tongue is French. And so it's actually opportunities for kids to learn new languages, but also to make new friends, to discover new cultures. And I can promise you that when your kids, they grow and they become grown-ups, they don't remember what were the small problems when they relocated. They just keep the memories of, oh yeah, I lived in that country, or I lived in that house. Oh yeah, I remember the house in that country. But they don't keep like the details or the complications that they had to go through. They're kids. They just basically, with time, we mainly keep the good memories. So in a conclusion, just to conclude on the relocation thing, if you are single and you do the relocation alone, it can be an adventure. But actually with a family, it's exactly the same. It can be a family adventure. It can be something that you can share with your family, with your partner, with your kids. It can be a nice adventure. It can be a nice experience. And if it's not, well, nothing is written in stone, and we can help our candidate to go back to home country. You know, we have enough clients and opportunities to, if after a few months or 1 year, it's not really working, the integration in the new culture, I mean, it could happen. Well, we will bring them back to find other opportunities to bring them back in the home country. So in the end, you don't really have something to lose. It's just new memories you can build. So to finalize, what's the 6th tool? I'm almost finished, I promise. It's when you arrive on the edge, you know, when you are at the very last moment before accepting or declining an offer. So basically, you did the entire recruitment process. You are the successful candidate. And congratulations, you are going to receive your work contract to sign and to confirm the start date. That is the most, intimidating moment, because that's a moment you are going to take that decision to change your life, again, to really change your life, or to retreat into comfort zone. And at that moment, of course, that kind of reaction is natural. It's normal. It's when we come really on the edge, you know, we are like in front of the cliff. I mean, or you are in front of, in front of the swimming pool, and that's the moment you have to do the jump in the water. And that's the moment you realize, okay, the water, maybe it's cold, but no, you decided, you have your swimming suit. I mean, you know, you are ready to dig. And that's the moment you have to remember. Remember the balance. Remember the effort, and what is what's the reward? What is the improvements you are going to have? What's really at stake? What you can win? And basically, that you are not going to lose. Yeah, that's the moment you have to keep the balance in mind. Take the decision, the last decision of signing the contract without emotions. First, you have to let the emotions go down. You go back to actually the 5 first tools I mentioned. So going back again to the reasons of unsatisfaction, the improvements that you are going to have, etc. And at that moment, you see exactly the change I'm going to do. It's a bit of complications, but a lot of things to win. It's worth being doing it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Germain.
You're very welcome.
Insightful. We've had the view of recruitment, of our recruitment specialists. Alessandro, so as a recent joiner to RHEA, could you tell me more about your specific experience?
Yeah, thank you, John. Hello, everybody. My name is Alessandro Vendetti, and I joined RHEA on April 2020. For various reasons, I want to change my career and thought that I will take the opportunity to experience living in another country. Making a choice like this during the pandemic was probably the most complicated challenge of my life. I moved from Italy to the Netherlands to work at ISAS Tech. But even if for professional viewpoint, continuing to work with the same kind of people I have for the past 10 years helped me a lot. But the social aspect of my life has been a little more difficult. During this pandemic, I had to deal with the bureaucracy involved in looking for a new flat, signing contracts, interfacing with the municipality, opening a bank account. All of these difficulties were partially alleviated by the ability to communicate in English, except, of course, for paperwork was a little more difficult, for which I thank a Google Translator. So moving legally was definitely my main concern, as this was the process that required the most effort, just because you cannot compare the process with your own country.
Mm-hmm.
Starting this amazing new adventure is like filling a white page. There will be the time in the future to make comparison with my native country and what I experiencing here in the Netherlands. But I'm here, and I have a lot of support from my colleagues and country operation team here in the Netherlands. Everything that in the beginning required a lot of my attention is now in some cases a standard practice. So this is the sign that my integration is moving forward.
Good.
I would really like to thank my colleagues in the Netherlands for their patience and for their support. And I recommend anyone who is thinking about making a change to do it. I did, and I'm very happy. That's all.
Fantastic. Well, that's a tick in the box. Thank you very much, Alessandro. So I'll open the floor for questions. We've had a couple in already. Let me try this one first. So I think this one's really targeted. Let's go to Vanessa first. Are all the opportunities that we're providing requiring to relocate? After the COVID, I know that some companies are offering ways to work remotely. So Vanessa, could you field that one first?
Yes, for sure, John. It's an easy answer, let's say. In general, of course, today we know that everybody is working remotely, and like Alessandro as well. Everybody who started in the last 12 to 15 months basically started remotely. Some are still based remotely. There were also some who were still stuck in different countries and stuff like that. So eventually, for most of the positions, as Gemma was saying earlier as well, some positions do require you to be on site. in cybersecurity, again, it's coming back to the domains that we work with. If you need to be on site, where you need to work in a secure environment, or if you need to be at a test facility, or you need to be in a concurrent facility, you need to have physical presence. So yes, eventually I feel that most of our clients would require people to relocate, but then it's just going back to as before, how things were before. But as I said, the positive thing is that all of them, as we are aware, are open and they understand the constraints of relocation. For sure today they are open, but I suspect as well, as times are changing also within RHEA as well, for certain roles there could be possibilities to work remotely. So there is no exact answer for sure. It's always what I can assure, there is flexibility. For sure there is that flexibility. It depends on the roles, it depends on the companies. What is most important is the talent itself, the value that you bring for that role.
Okay, thank you, Vanessa. I mean, Alessandro, have you anything to add to that from your experience?
No, just to confirm that I'm able to work at home right now. And sometimes I go in Aztec for important things, like a meeting with some parties. But in any case, I'm able to work from today, my job today, the activities at home.
Actually, I should add on that as well. So should the possibility be there for remote working or flexible working, one advantage that we have at RHEA is because of our presence in so many countries, we actually even legally do have that possibility to offer those flexibility to people as well. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Alessandro. I've got another question directed specifically for you, German. It's regarding your, I can't remember which one it is, but the fear of change, maybe number 2 from memory, I don't know. But how to manage when there is no fear of change, but the opposite. So the desire to have change because what this person said, because that's what keeps the drive and belief in the benefit of refreshment. So when somebody wants to just change for a change of scenery, a refreshment, let's say.
Actually, I think it's it doesn't work in all the environments or in every context, but this drive or this interest of constant change or frequent change, to be challenged, to go out of the comfort zone, out of its comfort zone again and again, actually it matches very well with a kind of our business model. You know, John, that we offer internally a very good internal mobility program, career evolution possibilities. So basically, we don't force our employees to take projects they don't want, but they can apply internally for projects whenever they want to change. And so whenever you want to have a change, because I don't know, after 1 or 2 years, I mean, engineers in the space, the cybersecurity, the IT software engineering sectors, they are smart people. After a couple of years, they saw it all. They are not challenged technically anymore, and they want something different again, to be driven, to be challenged, to be stimulated intellectually. And we can offer that. We can offer that. So it's actually a really good drive, and it matches perfectly the career evolution path that we can offer internally.
Okay, thank you, Germain. Just a reminder to everybody, please, any questions that you've got for the panel, please ask them via the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. I've just got one for maybe Vanessa again. So in this completely changed world, do people have to redo their CVs to, well, number one, to make them look a bit different for the period of the pandemic, and I guess number two, are there certain things that we look for in a CV because we must get quite a few CVs coming through the door or through the letterbox, through the emails.
Yes.
How do you determine what is a good CV and what is let's say a CV that needs work? I wouldn't say bad, but
yeah. So I mean, it's always important to have a good CV, for sure. The CVs need to I think the one mistake that people often make is that they feel the shorter a CV, the better, which is true. You know, you don't want a CV of 16 pages, but also having a CV in one page, especially, again, I come back to our very technical environment. We need to know what your capabilities are. We need to know what your strong skills, what your experiences are. So trying to condense 10 years, even 5 years of experience into a one-page CV, it doesn't give us any information, actually, apart from your name and where you went to school and where you worked. So yes, having a CV, a very precise CV, it's a very a detailed CV that really sells your key skills, always tailoring to, of course, to the job. It is important no matter what. And even during this pandemic, I think one of the things that we've seen, yes, we have a lot of jobs, due to the fact that I mean, not everybody is ready for a move. So we have actually, I would say, you have lower competition when you apply for a job because less people are applying, less people are willing to move. So it's very important to then focus on the quality of the CV.
right, okay.
Because then we review the CV, we are able to immediately say, okay, yes, we have the right person for the job, and things move on faster as well. So yes.
Okay, thanks, Vanessa. We're getting a few questions in now. Right, so a question for you, Alessandro, perhaps, and maybe on to Germain or Vanessa. How was the remote onboarding? So obviously very difficult in these current times to go through an induction process as such. But you mentioned, some difficulties initially with just the bureaucracy of moving. How was the onboarding process, and how are you supported through the local teams?
But the onboarding process was quite easy because I interviewed by Vanessa 2-3 times, if I recall. Then I passed also Gianluca Cerrone. I met Gianluca here in Estec because I was in a mission, so I had the chance to meet face-to-face Gianluca. No, I think that in my case, the recruitment process was very, very easy. What was difficult probably was the when I arrived in the Netherlands, and the support from the NLOps team was very, very important to find. For example, someone that helped me to make facilities into my apartment, to exchange a few documents with the municipality. The doctor, for example, the general practitioner, to find a general practitioner, to choose the right insurance. There are a lot of things different from what happened in Italy. So this is the most important part. But I can tell you that each time I wrote to the team, they replied to me immediately. This was very, very
right. Okay.
appreciated. Okay. Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Alessandro. Right, let's have a question coming in. I won't say the name because we'll keep things a little bit anonymous for this particular RHEA talk. I've been trying for a long while now to relocate to my home country. I'm having trouble when it comes to not succeeding during interviews. How can I change my mindset to apply again for the same teams where I've already held a bad interview? So this is, how do you deal with maybe an initial rejection and keep persevering on that? I'll ask Germain that one.
Oh, that's a very good question, and we so it's almost 3 years now. I work for RHEA, and really, like for the space sector, and I already had some cases. If I can give one example on that, it's if it's not working the 10th time, it could work the 11th, because I've seen it with my own eyes. I swear. So what's happening with the rejection, and especially in this big institution as we have as clients, NATO, ESA, the European Commission. We have to apply first because there is a lot of competition. You have to imagine that in the space sector, for instance, in Europe, ESA is kind of the top of the chain at some points. You have to see it like that. And so you have the best engineers in their own specializations applying applying for the same position. So competition is extremely, extremely hard. So maybe it's not linked with the client in itself. It's linked also with the other candidates applying. One of the things it's true, I forgot to mention. It's what is one of the positive aspects of COVID for the moment is the fact that you have less competition. You have people less. You have less candidates applying for the positions you could want, so basically higher chances to get the position. So that's a thing to keep in mind. But what we usually do is, don't lose courage. You should be trying once again. Learn from the past, lessons learned. So what was the feedback of the previous interviews? What can we correct, improve? What has changed from the previous applications to the new one? And what are the differences in the job description? Is the new application fitting better with your role? And all these kind of things that can help to increase the chances for a second or a new application.
Okay, thanks, Shimon. Let's see. Another question. COVID obviously shook the way people and companies consider work. More faith in teleworking, reviewing processes, etc. And let me just try and summarize this. Adaptation is obviously key on both sides, more than ever. How open should a company be to welcome experienced experts willing to adapt and embrace the company's purpose when their experience and seniority comes from other industry and backgrounds? So this is how applicable is knowledge coming from other industries, particularly, let's say, into our industries, so being space and security. Vanessa, do you want to try that one?
So if I hope I understood the question correctly. I think there is some crossovers from our industry to other industries. There's always crossovers, and in the end, it also comes down to the field of expertise. So I believe that this person is understanding how his experience from one industry can fit into our kind of work, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, there are crossovers for sure. So space is space, but space is also certain profiles need specific space engineers, for example, but we've seen the crossovers with other kind of critical infrastructure. We've seen crossovers with aviation, maritime, industries, large companies as well. So I would say that you don't have to come from a specific industry like space only to work with us.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, there are a number of roles such as program management and things like this as well.
Yeah, exactly. It gives the diversity, So I come back to the point of, again, diversity within RHEA.
Okay, I've got another question. Oh, they're all coming in thick and fast now. So I've got another question for you directly, Vanessa. So stay there.
Okay.
In regards to the length of contracts in cyber and physical security projects, are there 1 year? So basically, how long are the contracts? So the specific questions are they 1 year in length and rebidding, or do your clients offer 2 or 4 year ones? I think the question is also related to how do we deal with our staff once they're onboarded. So could you elaborate on that? If the client has a 1 or 2 year contract, how does it affect our staff?
Okay. Yeah. So Germain, you can add if I missed something up, but generally we hire people long term. So we hire people directly with permanent contracts. Most of the contracts that we have with our client are, majority of them are for over 2 or 3 years, for sure. Of course, sometimes we have the exceptions, but one thing good about RHEA is that anybody that we hire, they tend to come on with a permanent contract for whichever country they are based in. We also have the flexibility to hire people who are interested to work as contractors, and then generally we offer 1 or 2 year contract depending on the length of the project. So I think, as Germain mentioned earlier as well, so you have a permanent contract with us. You have the mission with the client that generally tends to last sometimes forever. So, or sometimes if you want to move to another mission or another client, you can move that, but still maintaining your seniority and your contract with us. So I hope that answered the question. Yeah.
I think so. I mean, just generally to elaborate, maybe Germain, the same question is added by, generally it takes more than a little while, required time to implement and testing and tweaking processes to become successful. I think this is specifically related to cyber and physical security type work. I mean, I obviously know that our contracts tend to be much longer than 1 year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Germain, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so we know now most of the projects that we have, are based on these contracts for holding a service for one of these clients. And these contracts, they used to have a duration on an average of 3 to 4 years. I worked, I don't know if you remember, Vanessa, on this contract with a duration of 9 years. I mean, so the duration can vary a lot, but it's really on average a 3 to 5 years duration. And actually, it's very similar from cybersecurity or from space sector. So usually what we do or what we say is that our engineers, they could be bored before the end of the duration of the project. So so that's really the average the average duration. And I mean, but it's true, sometimes it can be intimidating, to know that the project you're working on is coming to an end. I mean, it's kind of an achievement, but it's also kind of, yeah, but what am I going to do next then? And as I said before, remember that we have all the time, weekly, almost daily, new opportunities coming. So you start a project within RHEA, and I don't know, maybe after 2 years in a duration project of 4 years, you have the feeling that you want to do a change. You can apply internally to other projects. But it happens the same when your project is coming to an end. When the end is confirmed, we anticipate the end of the project years in advance. So we know when it's coming to an end. So in the recruitment department, we know who is soon going to be available, and we already start looking for next projects for the people who are not going to be on project soon, So it's really permanent positions that we have.
Okay, thanks, Germain. We've only got a little bit of time left now. There are lots of questions coming in now. So I've got one question. I think maybe Germain, you could answer this maybe. So it's related to somebody who has done a master's and now done a PhD.
Good.
And how do they make that? With a PhD, it appears more academic. And how do they make themselves feel more appropriate to industry?
That's a very good question. And it always depends on the position we are applying to, the project, the client's requirements. But we can really present a PhD as a work experience. So of course we are going to work on the CV presentation, but I mean, we have been recently working on a new tender, on a new project, and it's a scientific project. But even for non-scientific projects, a PhD with the responsibilities, the tasks, the professionalism it requires, if it has been successful, even if it was not because the job has been done, if the tasks are there, they can be presented as a work experience. Actually, they even sometimes increase the seniority of the profile. So it can be really interesting. So it's actually an exercise that on the recruitment side, we are really used to do. And on that, again, I come back to that, but trust your recruiter. If the recruiter tells you, oh, for this position, yes, we are going to present your PhD as experience, very good seniority, let's go for it. Or if it tells you, like, listen, the PhD was not really in line with the position, so it cannot be considered, it's because he knows the client's requirements. But in both cases, I mean, we can do it, yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Germain. Just moving very quickly to the next question, and maybe Vanessa can answer this one. So contrary to the previous question, this is somebody who's looking for positions as a new graduate. So are there possibilities for graduates with through RHEA with big clients such as ESA? I don't know, Vanessa, do you want to give that one a go?
Yeah, so generally ESA it's an agency, and generally we always advise people, young graduates, to get some experience from industry first, because then they have more valuable, they actually have the experience to go to ESA. But ESA themselves run young graduate programs. So usually that's where also clients like the EUSPA, they also have traineeship or graduate programs. So my advice, that will be the first place to start as a young graduate. RHEA will always be there as well to stay in touch. And then once you get some of that experiences, we definitely can help you form other opportunities as well. But we never say no. We always we do take CVs of graduates. We do have conversations with you. We do help you. We do advise you what the best steps should be like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm aware that we've had a few graduates recently.
Yes, we do. So we are also starting graduate programs as well internally. So yes.
Okay. Let's see. Do you support engineers from Southeast Asia countries, in particular India? Vanessa, while you're there?
Yes, I wouldn't say no. I would say yes, but I think the reality is that we also work in some specific markets as well that where this may not be possible. But we have had people coming from all around the world, especially for jobs at ESA or directly working for RHEA as well. So yes, the answer is yes, we support you. It depends on the roles, but we would advise you what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah, okay. I think we're just about out of time. There's a couple of more questions. Let's try this one very quickly. Does RHEA offer some sort of space academy? What a nice idea to learn. It's just for people who don't, let's say, have the full set of skills to develop further skills. I'll keep you on the spot, Vanessa.
Yes.
You're doing very well.
We have a cyber academy, if that helps. We do have a cyber academy. So yes, but a space academy sounds like a good idea, John.
I'll work on that one then. Okay.
Yes, we will work on it.
Well, yeah, I think we've run out of time, but many thanks for the questions and your involvement. Many thanks to the panel. I'll leave Vanessa there to give a plug. So if you are interested in a career through RHEA, Vanessa, they can access the website and go to the careers page on the website, I think.
Exactly.
And you can also subscribe to receive careers updates, I believe.
Yes, we send a weekly newsletter every week with the top jobs. You can send in your open application. If you don't find a job for you today, you can send your open application to us. Myself, my entire team of recruiters are on LinkedIn, so feel free to connect with us and send us a message. If you have any questions, we'll definitely try our best to help you.
Okay, so thank you to the panel. Thank you, Vanessa, German, Alessandro, particularly
you.
Alessandro. Hope you get into the office soon. And and thank you all for your participation and for watching. And
Thanks.
so hope to see you on the next RHEA talk. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
John.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.